Gus Dapperton, thanks so much for being with us, man. I'm stoked to talk to you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Where are you right now?
I'm in my apartment in Brooklyn, just hanging out.
Nice. On the other side of the country. I'm in Los Angeles right now.
Oh,
So the silver lining to 2020 is that we get to do these kinds of interviews more often. So
yeah, totally.
it's a little easier. Have you been doing more press this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, not touring has given me more time to do, I guess, things like this as opposed to being on tour and kind of doing them in passing. Now I've been able to really like sit down and focus on these kind of things more often for sure.
Right, right. So, would love to hear how you got started in music. Do you remember any childhood memories of when maybe you fell in love with music?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved music from like the time I was born. My parents were always playing music in the house, and um, my dad was never really interested in like uh he always played whatever music he was into. Like it didn't matter if there were like curse words in it or it wasn't like child appropriate. He was kind of just always playing whatever music. So I've always loved music, and I remember like my dad and my mom used to set up a camera in front of the TV and we would watch ourselves like dance like on camera to the music, like me and my sister when we were kids.
That's
That's
awesome.
really when I like fell in love with music, but I never considered it as something I was gonna pursue until I was in like eighth grade when I was 14. Um, because I never was like a naturally gifted singer or a naturally gifted guitarist or pianist, but um, I was always artistic growing up. I always painted and drew, and I used to like film and edit videos as well.
Mm,
Um, but in eighth grade, we were introduced to GarageBand in one of our music classes. Um,
nice.
we had just got like a Mac lab in our school, and there were maybe 10 Mac computers in this one room. And in music class, we were able to go in and get on GarageBand for this project. And the project was like whoever makes the best song gets to go on the town radio station. And I got super into it, and me and a couple other folks ended up like winning the contest. And
Nice.
I like really fell in love with like producing music like on the computer. That's like what I really fell in love with.
Yeah. So did you partnered up with a couple classmates then and kind of created a track, or was it you? Was it your
It was
track?
all,
And
yeah, so it was actually all separate. Like we were forced to do our own vocals, whether it was rap, sing, talking. Like it was pretty insane to like, I don't know, force like 14-year-old kids to all sing. Like I was super terrified of my voice. I didn't want
yeah.
anyone to hear me back, but we had to do it. So I kind of figured out something that sounded all right. And uh, yeah, but after that, like there were a few other classmates who were also interested in music, and we started doing it more and hanging out more. My one friend was a rapper, and he was a super good rapper, and I was, I started producing for him more often, and then that's kind of how it went from there.
Did that? Do you still have that recording that you went on the radio with?
hmm
You think that's ever going to see the light of day again?
I haven't heard it since like I haven't heard it in like I guess I haven't heard it in like 6 or 7 years probably.
Yeah. I got you back. Yeah. You said 6 or 7 years and then it seemed to pause
Okay,
for a second.
yeah. So I haven't heard that recording in 6 or 7 years. I think the only place that it would be is like on a CD, just one CD, lonesome CD, like in my attic or something. And
You
I think
you
my
got to
sis
find it.
I
You got to
know.
find it.
I think my sister might know where it is. I think she's the only one who like has the copy of it. But yeah, I would love to hear it again.
Do you think that voice that you used, because you're saying this is the first time you were kind of forced to put your vocal to a song? Do you think that voice resembles anything compared to what you sound like now on tracks?
I would say no. It was still my natural voice, but I actually honestly didn't even know how to sing. So I was basically just like it was almost like I was doing like slam poetry, like rhyming on
Right.
the track. It was almost like rapping, but I was still trying to like hold pitch, but it sounded like nothing like how I sound now.
Okay.
It sounded more like my
So how,
talking.
right. So how'd you go from so you get stoked on music, you get your school gets its Mac lab. That's awesome. So shout out to schools actually implementing music
Yeah,
and
totally,
digital music because it led to what you're doing now. So
totally.
you get stoked, you start working with some of your classmates who are also into it. At what point do you say I might need something a little bit better than GarageBand, or did you actually create some pretty cool stuff with GarageBand?
Yeah, so I spent maybe like I guess that was eighth grade. I spent maybe another year and a half on GarageBand, and I was like super into producing, and I would I produced a lot of hip hop beats. I ended up getting every single DAW like pirated, like every single DAW
Uh-huh.
in a year onto my PC that I could because I only had a PC.
Yeah.
So I would go in school, use GarageBand sometimes, and then on my PC at home, I downloaded like Reason, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like FL Studio. There's this one called Cakewalk,
Yeah.
just so random. Audacity, all those.
Uh-huh.
I literally had gotten all of those, pirated them, like did all this, was using them for all these different sounds because I didn't really know how to. I feel like I was using DAWs for different stock sounds that they had and
Right.
different sounds you could make because like I wasn't like downloading plugins or anything like that. So I did that for a while, and then I finally convinced my parents to help me get a Mac laptop for Christmas one year. I got
Nice.
that. I was able to get Logic, and then from there on, I was like really set, and that's what I did throughout high school. Um, yeah,
It's kind of settled in on Logic. Do you still use Logic today?
yeah, totally. I love it.
That's your fave. Do you still use Reason at all?
No, but I loved using Reason, and I went to school at Drexel University for 2 years, and I thought that Reason was pretty helpful when it came to like learning how to patch instruments and hardware and everything, because that's like how all the plugins are set up in Reason.
Yeah.
But I know a couple of my friends who still use Reason who are really ill producers, and I can like kind of hear that they're like using Reason in
Right.
you can kind of hear like different pause that people use sometimes.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. For those who haven't used Reason, it's a music software, and like you were saying, it basically it tries to emulate the studio experience. So if you actually want to combine sounds and effects, it'll it has a virtual like, oh, let's flip to the back of these
Totally.
interfaces and plug in the plugs, and
Yeah.
so it kind of shows you how you would do it in real life. So you start using Logic. You're making, kind of improving your production skills in high school, and then, as you said, you start going to college after high school. At what point did you start maybe getting out there and playing shows and maybe taking this even a little more seriously?
Yeah, so throughout high school I was just making hip hop beats, and then my last year in high school I sort of like went through this little like miniature existential crisis, and um I don't know, was like, trying to think if I wanted to go to college and pursue music there, if I wanted to take a gap year or something, and I tore my ACL and my meniscus like at the same time. I had played sports all my life too, and
Mm.
this was a combination from like skateboarding and all these other things, and I tore that, so I got surgery and was out of school for a while. My laptop crashed,
Oh
um,
no.
and obviously I broke up with my girlfriend broke up with me or whatever, and it was like I don't know. Obviously, I was taking all this really hard,
Yeah, that's a lot all at once.
and it was like that winter. of my senior year in high school. And then it was almost like I went to bed one day and then like a switch just flicked on and I started like singing and I was like, all right, from here on out, I'm just gonna start singing, playing more like live instruments, and I really just want to create songs from scratch with uh, with no help from samples or other people. I just want to make songs. I have so much to say, and I just want to, I could have someone else say these things, but I really want it to be my voice. So started doing that, and that's what I really became like passionate with, expressing myself in that way. Creating this sound, and then I go to college, and I had played in high school, like me and my sister and a couple of my friends had played like we'd play like cover show, like we'd act as like a cover band once in a while, like my senior year in high school, and like I would sing a couple songs, my sister would sing a bunch of songs, I would like play guitar, my friend would play drums, my sister would play piano and stuff. That was my first experience like playing live. And then
Like school events and stuff like that.
yeah, there was like one or two school events, and then there were some. We were able to get a couple gigs actually, like at like a couple of restaurants in town and things. And then when I went to college, I was still kind of putting out music, making music, and I guess like halfway into my first year at college, I started playing shows. I started playing house shows and basement shows and stuff like that, all in Philadelphia. I was just playing tons of those, like one every other weekend. I was going to New York sometimes and playing more like house shows, and um, I was able to get some shows at other venues, just like opening for people, like first opener, like at a a smaller venue.
Yeah, and these are like band shows. You got like you got people with you, or is that how you're doing it? Live music
So
style.
sometimes when we were able to all get together and it was a good day for all of us, I would play a four piece. I would do guitar, vocals. I'd have someone play keyboard, someone play bass, and my drummer play drums. And then sometimes when we are like it was a bad day for all of us, I would just go and I would have my guitar and then I would trigger like samples and the tracks and I would just sing. Sometimes I'd have a keyboard as well and I would play to tracks and like sing on top of it. Um, I also had like an MPD, like an MPC, and I would trigger samples that way,
Nice.
and like sing over top of it. So it was a combination of everything. I really was just trying to like get out there and practice really as much as possible and just get practice like performing.
At what point do you start developing this epic visual, you know, aesthetic that you present, as Gus Dapperton, because I that it's such a I feel like it's such a huge part of your persona. So when did you start, when did that start developing?
So like weirdly enough, I've always kind of uh, been interested in expressing myself via fashion and hair and cosmetics and everything. And when I was in high school, I started painting my nails and like bleaching my hair and cutting up my clothes and stuff. So I think people like that I went to high school with would say I definitely like you know had a specific style. And then when I went to college, it definitely was getting just more evolved from that. And then the first time it was, I guess it would have been 2016. Um, Me and my friend Beshkin, I featured on his song, and I really was like, yo, we should make a music for video for this song. It's really good, and we should like show everyone what we're all about, and we should get it out on all these different platforms, like YouTube and all these other. Because at the time I just kind of lived on SoundCloud, and I was like, we should like put in the money, make a music video, and try to get this released on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music, which I had no idea how to do at the time.
Right, right,
I did, like distribution services weren't as mainstream.
right.
It was kind of like rare. So we figured all that out, got it up on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, all that. We actually went out to LA to shoot a music video because he was from LA. Um, and I think just when we shot the first music video, like I clearly had like a specific style. I just styled myself and um always had like an interesting haircut and like glasses usually and earrings and stuff
Right.
um and then from there on I was like music videos are a great way to enhance the song and show people our personality. So after I did that first one, I was like kind of hooked. Also, it helped that the director who did that ended up becoming like one of my best friends, and we've really like grown together as me as a musician, him as a director and stuff. So I like ended up living with him in New York for a little bit, and we just started making more videos and shooting photos and doing all that stuff. So I guess it was 2016 we really started dialing that in.
Yeah, so it was so style has always just been a passion of yours. So it was just that wasn't something that you were like, oh, I'm a musician now. I need to get more. I need to up my style game. This was always something that you were interested in.
I was always really interested in being an individual. I was always inspired by people who were such strong individuals, like as like musicians. I would look up to musicians who were, had their complete own style, and I thought it was so cool that, that's what they look like. This is what their music sounds like.
Yeah.
Uh, this is what their visuals look like. And there were so many of those artists that I looked up to, and I really just also was striving to be an individual, like in my own way. And I grew up in a town where everyone was very I guess similar, like had very similar mindsets and career paths and even like style choices, so I always wanted to be an individual, I guess.
Yeah, and you're definitely definitely succeeding at that. Did so at what point you said you created this video that you were for a track you were featured on, and then you started working with this director who you're now friends with. At what point did you start seeing things pick up for you music wise? Was it shortly after that when you started? You're like, oh, okay, now I know how to put stuff on streaming services, and now I got someone to shoot video. Was it soon after that?
It wasn't soon after that, but because I was playing so many shows and meeting so many people in New York City, like I'd ended up, been like I ended up playing at like SOBs in New York City a bunch of times, and like no one would come, but I was like first opener for like another person, but then I'd meet the talent buyer and meet like the sound guy and meet all these people, and I started doing that. I played at like SOBs, Baby's All Right, Mercury Lounge, couple of just like bars and clubs, like this spot called Berlin, this other spot called Happy Endings. And I think because I was just developing this small community of people who were my friends and were supportive and wanted to come see my music, and then atop the videos, there was sort of like, if I just kept like doing that and kept putting out music videos and putting out music, it felt like there was sort of like it was bound to kind of happen at some point just because I really was putting in the work. So I guess we put out that video. I did that the spring of 2016, and then I made a I guess it might have, I had put out another video for the song called Moodna. Then it took a whole nother year. Still, no one really, like, it never really picked up. It was more just like a New York, Philadelphia, like communal thing. A whole year later, put out another EP and another video. And then I guess so 2017, the fall of 2017 where things started picking up and it was like all of a sudden, like I had like three or four really strong projects and like visuals out, and no one had really, they hadn't been picked up, and then all of a sudden one day we booked a show at Mercury Lounge like in the fall of 2017, and it like sold out, and that's like when it started taking off.
Was that after you dropped I'm Just Snacking?
Yeah, so I'm Just Snacking, we dropped, and then still like right when it dropped, it wasn't a big thing, and then so I guess I dropped that in like maybe like April or May or June or something of, I guess, I don't even remember the year, but and then it was like that later that summer, like August, September, I put out this EP, and it was like around then when I put out the EP, things started slowly picking up, and then we played a show at Mercury Lounge in October, and it was like I remember like in October was like when it kind of started buzzing.
Do you think that is because I'll tell you, I I think it may have I think I may have been surfing the Vivo app on my Apple TV one day or something like that, and I saw that I'm just snacking video, and it was just so cool to me, like the visual, the style, the song. And was so unique that I was like, oh, this guy's cool. I should check him out. And so I've been a fan ever since. So
Cool.
I could
Yeah,
tell you,
that's pretty early.
yeah, so I could, maybe that's what was happening with a lot of people, where seeing the combination of the cool song mixed with the really unique visual, maybe it was generating some interest among other things,
Totally.
like you said.
No, totally. Yeah.
So like I said, I've been a fan for a while, and also I've been a fan of Benny for a while, and then a few months ago, or maybe it was even a year or so ago now, I saw that you guys did a song together, and I was like, oh, cool, and I think Benny was picking up steam too, but not to the point that I think is it safe to say TikTok exploded Super Lonely?
Yeah,
Um, so
totally.
that song is an awesome song. I liked it, and then I saw it just exploded on TikTok. So how has that affected your career? Because I feel like that has just probably brought it to a whole other level.
Yeah, well, so I mean, yeah, so I actually didn't know about Benny's music until I guess last summer. I heard some of her music. I thought she was, I liked it a lot. The
Yeah,
song Soaked. Soaked was
yeah, that's a
such
great
a
song.
bop.
Yeah,
Um, and some people on her team I was good friends with, just like in New York and whatnot. And they really just like in the fall sent me the track and they're like, hey, like we think you'd sound really good on this. They're big fans, and I was like, oh, cool. I really like her music. Let me check it out. And at this point I don't really hadn't done features that much just because I was trying to really kind of hone in on my own music and make sure it, was cohesive. And I felt really good at this point. And they sent it to me and I was like, oh yeah, I can totally hear my voice on this. And I kind of came up with a melody really quickly and went to the park one day, wrote it, and like sent it back to them, and they're like, yeah, they're like, I sent it back, they're like, yeah, this is great, like this sounds awesome. I didn't really hear about it for a while, and they're like, oh yeah, the song's coming out next month. I was like, oh cool, you didn't need me to like change anything, like it's all good. And then I put out the song last fall, and yeah, it probably took like 5 6 months for it to like it was like people were hyped on it, and she was slowly like gaining some traction. Um, but it took like 5 6 months, and then after 5 or 6 months, it blew up on TikTok. Realistically, like it did. That's what blew it up, and we did a video. Um, I was luckily able to like that she shot like her half like in Australia and I was on tour in Australia in like January or December, so I was able to pop in, shoot the video for it, and it just worked out really well. But weirdly enough, it hasn't really impacted my career that much. I think like people out loud like recognize that, I was on this viral TikTok song, but realistically, I didn't gain a lot of fans from it because
didn't see the needle move in the metrics a lot.
the thing that I've been able to sort of uh I don't know come up with about TikTok is like the kids on there, the young impressionable kids who are huge fans of TikTok and love to exist on there. They're not really necessarily fans of the music of these 15-second tracks. They're fans of pop culture, right?
Sure, sure.
Like they're fans of pop culture and they're fans of like current trends, which is totally fine
Yeah,
because that's the app they're on. That's like what it is. So they're hearing like 15 seconds of a song, they'll do the dance to it. Some of them might not even go download the song on
right.
Apple Music or Spotify or listen to it ever again, but they'll make videos, tons of videos to it on TikTok. So like I didn't really see a huge. I don't think a lot of those kids necessarily dived into like both of our discographies. I think Benny just because of that, like, blew up, and all her other songs in general just all came together and worked hand in hand. And, you know, I think her fan base definitely lives outside of TikTok as
Right.
well.
Right.
But for me particular impact of it, but it was really dope. It was really dope though. I was really, really stoked on Super Lonely and everything about it.
So Gus, I wish we could talk longer because, like I said, I'm a huge fan. Got a interview right after you. So I just want to let everybody know that your new album is rad. Posthumous is one of my favorite songs of the year. It's been on my playlist. I've been playing it a lot. So I'm going to tell everybody to make sure to check that out. And I'd really like if you could come back and talk more about it. But we like to end the
Totally.
interview just by asking, if you had one piece of advice to offer aspiring musicians, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, aspiring musicians, I think a lot of people are looking for ways to market their music. What's the best way to like market my music? What's the best way to get out there? And I always say like you really have to, develop a local community, and you got to share your music with the people that you find uh, around you, and share it with your friends, and try to get out in the local community, and slowly start spreading that to a place you want to be. Me and some of my best friends, we met on SoundCloud, just like making beats, sharing beats, and we DM each other, and now we're best friends, and we all make music and in these different lanes. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Just keep working, and just keep trying to get out there small, so you can eventually get out there bigger.
Bringing it backward.